your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
He's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying
you're doing your thing now where you double down on a take that is incorrect.
The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's
over
not
a 7th-round
There were
pick
2
who didn't even
perfectly
play
rated
good.
quarterback recruits in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
It's time to rise and grind with us on the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM channel 159. And over the next 3 hours, we got you covered on all the hottest topics. And boy, it was an unbelievable weekend. You want goals in the final seconds of a game number 7? We got that. You want game 7s in basketball where teams rose to the occasion? You have that as well. You want the Kentucky Derby in the mud? We got that recap for you as well. Major League Baseball, so many topics going on. It's time to get the show started, Joe Ranieri. You look at it, Thursday, Friday, Monday with Joe Ranieri. Could it be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday again this weekend with Joe Ranieri on the Early Line? Tell me more.
One never knows, Donnie, but I feel like I've been on vacation and I need a vacation after this weekend because the amount of energy and craziness in game 7s and the Derby, it was exhausting, but looking forward to the second round and a lot of spots here coming up this week.
Nah, it's good stuff. And again, when the playoffs continue to go day by day by day, you lose teams, but also you gain better series, at least what we think here, and some upsets on the mind of a certain Pacer squad. But let's get to it here. The 7 and 7, the hottest topics across the sports landscape, which we're going to start with a game number 7 yesterday. And how about this? The Golden State Warriors, rested, ready, whatever. 103-89 victory over the Houston Rockets. It's just the way it happens. Buddy Hield in the starting lineup, 33 points to lead the Warriors as they beat up the Houston Rockets in game number 7.
Yeah, unreal. Who needs Klay Thompson when you have Buddy Hield, right? Because that's exactly what I felt like I was watching was the old school Splash Brothers going at it where, you know, I'll give Houston credit. They did everything they could to try and make anybody else beat them but Steph Curry. And guess what? Yeah, well, Buddy Hield beat you in a big, big way. Huge effort by them and the Golden State Warriors. I guess that's where experience comes into play, Donnie, in the playoffs.
It does. Home court advantage didn't work out in the number 2 seeded Rockets' favor here as the Warriors won that game after a crazy game number 6 where you felt like, oh, that was it. Now the Warriors put all their chips in the basket for game 6. Now we'll see what happens in game number 7. And you saw exactly what happened. You get off to a good start, which the Warriors did. They won that game, and they are moving on. We'll get to that game much more in just a little bit here. Let's continue to go for game number 7s over the weekend. How about the Denver Nuggets, Joe? 120-101 over the Clippers. I hit every single one of these 7 games on who was going to win. What a fantastic series, but it came down to home court advantage carried the distance in this series as the Nuggets were the better team in this game, the better team in the series, and the Nuggets are moving on.
Yeah, and ironically enough, in game 7 for Denver, it was all about the supporting cast for them. Quite honestly, it was the Russell Westbrooks, the Christian Brauns, the Aaron Gordons. It wasn't necessarily Joker who took the game over. It was a collective effort from a bench that we've talked about all season long that we didn't think was deep enough. And well, it certainly was good enough to get past another Game 7. So they're on their way to OKC here. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, good. Look, I love it, man. You have good teams moving on, championship pedigree. Let's go. You see the Warriors, again, winning a game number 7. What's familiar with them? Winning championships. The Denver Nuggets just a few short years ago, winning a championship, winning in game number 7. We'll see what happens there. Continuing in the NBA yesterday, that was the Pacers, 121-112 over the Cleveland Cavaliers, taking a 1-0 series lead, and now have home court advantage in their pocket. Let's see what they can do in game number 2. But in that game, you're still looking for some injuries in the Cleveland starting lineup to come back, but it hasn't hurt them in the past. The Cavalanche didn't happen. 9 of 38 from 3 yesterday. The Pacers come away with game 1 victory.
Yeah, what a difference. Everyone thought with what they did to Miami, like Miami was some sort of, tough matchup for the Cavs. I said it all weekend, Donnie. I said, this is not going to be a situation where Cleveland is just going to run right over this Indiana team. They can score, they can play defense. And, they got this guy named Halliburton who just absolutely went off, 22 points, 13 assists, and was making defensive play after defensive play. Huge effort by the Indiana Pacers last night on the road.
Grab the 1-0 series lead. Impressive here because we're all in anticipation of that Cavaliers-Celtics series. Could somebody throw a wrench in that Eastern Conference final? We'll certainly find out. But we say things sometimes in passing. Hey, there's nothing better than overtime hockey. There's nothing better than overtime Game 7 hockey, particularly when you tie the game up with 1 second left and then win it in double overtime to advance. The Winnipeg Jets did that yesterday, defeating the St. Louis Blues 4-3, down 3-1, Joe, in the third period, storm back and win it and advance.
That's not one. That is in the Western Conference. That was 2 back-to-back, absolutely out of control Game 7s that we have seen. I thought for sure Winnipeg was done after they gave up 2 goals in the first period, and then they scored 2 goals in the final 2 minutes to get it to overtime and then get it done on a deflection off a St. Louis Blues player of all people. So that's what Game 7s are all about. What you had last night is what the NHL playoffs is all about.
What a demoralizing start, too, for the home crowd. You get energized and excited, down 2-0 right away. It's like Hellbuck's supposed to be the best goalie in the NHL, folding up under the pressure at this point, and then only to come back with a second left. And also, keep in mind, like St. Louis, you got that game. You let up a goal with 1 second left in regulation in game number 7, and then you lost in double overtime. What an absolute surprise there. Maybe we had some surprises at the Kentucky Derby. It was raining all afternoon there. It looked like a quagmire out there, but sovereignty outduels journalism to win the 151st Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, it was muddy. It was not a great day, but somehow they managed still to pack almost 150,000 people in Churchill Downs to watch what was a great race. He outdueled journalism, the favorite, down the stretch. And now the big question, Donnie, is will he run in the Preakness, and could we have a possible Triple Crown winner?
By the way, that is the interesting part, too. Like, the Preakness always like the center of attention because no matter what, you're probably going to get the Kentucky Derby winner there outside of any extenuating circumstances. So the eyes on the Preakness to continue, as you say, towards the Triple Crown. But also, shout out horse racing. Like so many other sports, like, it's rainy. We're going to postpone that to like Sunday. Everybody's got to come back. So rain, winter storm, whatever it would be, the Kentucky Derby certainly ran, and they ran on Saturday. Mutters all the way through. Did you see, by the way, the jockey that won the race? I mean, just splattered on his face, just mud everywhere. The horses are covered, but hey, man, you win the Kentucky Derby, you are set at that point. You want to talk about being set at a point here? I don't know if I've ever strolled onto a golf course and shot a 31 on the front 9, let alone a minus 31 for an absolute tournament. Scotty Scheffler, 31 under par. Went like this, too. 61, 63, oh boy, 66. Back to a 63, $1.7 million, and another championship in the back pocket for Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, all is well in the world of golf, right? Balance has been restored as we're all sitting here going, wow, Scotty doesn't look right. Wow, will he ever win another tournament? Okay. When you're 18 under after the first 36 holes, Donnie, there is a pretty good chance you're going to do some great things there. And he did almost, have the PGA Tour record? 31 under is just absolutely... It is so hard to win on the PGA Tour, and he just went 31 under on a golf course. Unbelievable.
Great professional athletes never seem to amaze me. Like anybody's ever played golf, where I don't care what your level is, 244 yards from a sand trap, and they hit the ball pin high on a par 5. Like it's hard enough to hit it out of the sand trap on the side of a bunker by the green, let alone pace that thing 244 and get it right by the pin. Amazing stuff by Scotty Scheffler. Yesterday on Pro Baseball Today, Joe Ranieri, we had 2 dogs on our card yesterday. Arizona, which won, and then Tom Vecchio had the Kansas City Royals, who went bombs away in Baltimore. And what's up with Baltimore? 13-20. Goodness. Sheesh.
Yeah, well, they're terrible, Donnie. We can start there. They are not good, and they are not good from a pitching perspective. Both starters and bullpen are a hot mess, and that continues to be a problem for Baltimore. So, and they continue to get priced like they're the Baltimore of last year or the year prior, and they are far from that, my man.
Look at that, 6 runs. You figure that's good enough to win a game easily. No, it isn't when your bullpen and your starting pitching gives up 11 runs yesterday, including home run after home run after home run. Other quick thoughts there in the news. Caitlin Clark returns to Iowa for a preseason game, and D.C. 2027 going to host the draft. We'll talk Warriors next.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Is so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum in the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Dart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Hour number 1 in full effect here on the Early Line. It's Joe Ranieri and Sonny right side, rumbling through the NBA playoff picture because we are getting some clarity here now with game number 7s, game number 6s, round number 1s in round number 2, and away we go. Because if we look at the games, game 7, you say, okay, game number 6 should have been won easily. And that was because the Warriors were like, hey, you know what? Game 6 in our own building, we'll take off game number 5. The Rockets stormed the court in game number 6 to force a game number 7, which meant, Joe, all momentum back on the Rockets side. Wow, the Warriors let that one slip away, only to find themselves in a game number 7 in H-Town and win that one 103-89. Sometimes you can just take the temperature of the series. Like, oh, man, you had a team in the Warriors that should have won easily. Now it's a game number 7. How do they come out? Won the first quarter, Joe. Won the second quarter, up double digits at the half. You expend a lot of energy just trying to come back like the Houston Rockets. It just wasn't your night. 103 points here, fine for the victory. You can't score 89 on your home court. It feels like almost game number one where the Rockets just couldn't find their way. But you do look for superstars in a one-game playoff, essentially, which is what that was. Buddy Hield, 37 minutes, 12 of 15 from the floor, which included 9 of 11 from three-point range, 33 points in a game number 7 for Buddy Hield. And the Warriors move on, Joe.
Listen, the Warriors had more made threes than the Rockets had attempted threes. And you are never beating the Golden State Warriors when that happens, period. And it really was kind of over in the first half. 12-point halftime lead for Golden State, Donnie. And this Houston team, they won with defense. That's how that was their MO. They put together this box and one, sort of zone that kind of flustered Golden State in a couple of games here. But boy, oh boy, did they figure it out in game 7. And they figured it out because it was all meant to anybody but Curry. And, in years past, it was, okay, you're going to take Curry out. Well, Klay Thompson's going to destroy you. And guess what? Buddy Hield stepped right into Klay Thompson's role, and he absolutely destroyed them. They were all over Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry early, and they just kept finding the open guy. You got Draymond Green involved. It was a great effort by the Golden State Warriors, and that is why experience matters in the playoffs, in crunch time, in a game 7. They figured it out, and it was over at the half because I didn't think there was any way, even when Houston got it back within 3 in the third, that just didn't feel like they had a grip on how they were going to get back into this game and run away from the Warriors.
It's incredible, Joe. When you look at the Warriors lineup, right? Of course, in a game number 7, you're going to rely on your veterans here and your starting lineup. Like if we would have told you, like, hey, by the way, they're going to enter into a game number 7, they're going to get 3 total points from their bench. You're like, they probably got blown out in this game. Like, look at the starters: Draymond, 40 minutes; Jimmy Butler, 45 minutes; Steph, 46 minutes; Buddy Hield, 37 minutes; Podziemski, 40 minutes. The only guy that was underwhelming in the starting lineup was Podziemski here with 9 points. Everybody else, 33, 22, 20, and 16. Well, Draymond only had 16. That's like double his average for a game. And in a game 7, you need that. We're at 7 of 15 from the floor. But my focal point also comes in with the Houston Rockets. Still trying to learn how to win. Number 2 seed here, game 7 in your own building. Yep. You'll learn from those mistakes in the future as much as it hurts now. But also, like superstar players, I don't care if they're young or not. Where was Jalen Green in this series? Outside of game number 2, invisible. Played 30 minutes, shot 8 attempts, 8 total points then. You need better out of your star players. This guy was averaging over 20 points a game in the regular season, but it was too bright here in the playoffs here where he couldn't shine, and that's a shame, and that's where it went down. But I do like the fight out of the Rockets, just the way it went down. 89 points in game 7, Joe, in your own building, man. Just can't happen.
No, it was ugly, too. I mean, they didn't shoot the ball well at all, but give Golden State credit. They were all over them defensively. Everything that Houston had done well early, Sengun in the paint, getting rebounds, getting some, they took it all away, and they made it way more difficult for the Houston Rockets. Right? A 7-game series in the playoffs is all about adjustments, in-game adjustments, series adjustments, right? And listen, it took Golden State a little while, but Steve Kerr and company, they figured it out. This was the first time in Golden State Warrior playoff history where 3 guys had at least 20 or more points in a game. I mean, that's kind of crazy when you think about it, but this is the first time they've ever had 3 players score at least 20 points in a game 7, and they've been in a few of them over the last decade.
Yeah, no question. It's certainly teams that you take a look at Kevin Durant there, Klay Thompson, you have Steph Curry. There's a lot of superstars in some of those teams. Now, maybe they didn't even make it to a game 7. They were so talented at that point. But I do want to bring up the Rockets here because young players here will learn and mature. Amen Thompson, I thought, had a very good series, and including showing up, Joe, in game number 7 with 24 points, 9 of 16 from the floor, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Also chipped in with 9 rebounds and 3 assists. I thought he played well, but Jalen Green, again, Jalen Green scores 20 points, they probably can move on and advance. He just didn't show up, and that certainly is a problem. But also, from a Warriors perspective, can they get away, Joe? We're going to preview in the next segment of the next round. These guys, veterans, a lot of wear and tear on those legs, playing major minutes.
Well, I think you saw the X factor. And listen, winning this series, congratulations, Golden State and ownership. You know, it made the Jimmy Butler trade look go. I mean, that's it worked. So congratulations. It got you through the first round of the playoffs. But if Buddy Hield, who has always been capable of games like that, if Buddy Hield's going to keep shooting from the outside like that, Golden State's going to be a problem for anybody because pick your poison then when you got Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and now Buddy Hield draining threes from all over the place. Good luck trying to defend that.
Yes, Thompson, Brooks, Şengün, Van Vliet, Green. We'll expect most of those guys to come back next year. Young team with still a lot of capital to go out and spend and maybe make some trades here. The one interesting part I find, like we talk about Dalton Connect to the Lakers, like one of the best. Oh, they want to steal in the draft, and the guy doesn't like play the second half of the season or in the playoffs. I take a look at guys like Reed Shepherd, who's supposed to be like a pure shot maker, and the guy can't even see the court here in a game that you score 89 points. And again, it's a rookie. It's game number 7. What did you expect him to do? What Buddy Hield did? No. But at least if you're struggling with scoring, you can go a little bit deeper on the bench. But it is crazy, again, that the Golden State Warriors had 3 points off the bench and won this game going away by double digits on the road in a game number 7. Now, in the next segment, Joe, we're going to take a look at the Timberwolves and the Warriors in their series to see how it's priced and any advantages that you have. But also, as the point brought up here, the Golden State Warriors played starters a lot of minutes in game number 7. That's a big emotional surge. Will they be ready for game number 1? We'll talk about it next right here on The Early Line.
Looking for an edge in betting basketball? Injuries can make or break a game. Get insider knowledge from Dr. David Chow and the team of experts with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden health-based advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Go to SickScore.com and sign up for Sick Picks and use the promo code SportsGrid for a free week today.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
First time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's...
Game 7s are exciting, no matter if it's hockey or in the NBA. But the one thing you do know is the jubilation, Joe Ranieri, of winning a game number 7. Well, if it's the Stanley Cup final, the NBA Finals, you win game number 7. Off you go into the offseason, and what a season it was. But if you're in round number 1 and you win a game number 7, maybe you smoke a cigar after that, but you got a quick turnaround, which means on Tuesday night, the Golden State Warriors will open up another series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. If we look in that series price right now, heavy favorite for the Timberwolves at a minus 178 price. If you like the dog and the Warriors, it's a plus 150. Also, you take a look at the spreads in the series. The Golden State Warriors getting a game and a half. That's minus 154. And then the shortest price there, game number 7, a plus 198. We are expecting a competitive series, but I want to ask you, Joe, if you look at the price points right now, does anything stick out to you?
Well, listen, I mean, this is not a great situation that Golden State couldn't handle business earlier, but they did go 3-1 against the Timberwolves this season. So it's not like they haven't had some success against this team, but they haven't faced the Warriors, I think, since January 15th. So, and I believe that was a few weeks before Jimmy Butler even was part of this team. So, yeah. Draining 7-game series, advantage Minnesota. They have home court advantage as well. But with what we saw and with the experience on this team, as long as everybody stays healthy, Donnie, I think they have a puncher's chance here. The Golden State Warriors are getting it done here and actually winning this series. But that would require to make sure everybody remains on the court. You got a few guys there that are one fall away from missing games, and then they're in trouble.
No, you're right about that. And also understand this. Veteran teams here, typically in the playoffs, you want that extended rest. You're not getting that if you're the Golden State Warriors. Yep. So if you look at the Timberwolves' perspective, home, rested, and ready, not the wear and tear of a 7-game series, only had a 5-game series against the Los Angeles Lakers, which then brings me into my next topic here. If you're looking at the game, which is Tuesday, 9:30, 6-point favorite for the Minnesota Timberwolves and a total of 208. There are two ways you can approach this game because most people in the common thought would be, wow, what a series for the Warriors. They had to win it in 7 games. They won it on the road. You know, are they even going to fly back home or they fly directly just, right over to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves and settle into their hotel? But also, sometimes, Joe Ranieri, you know this. You can run on adrenaline and have that carryover effect from game number 7. Or you can have that, thank goodness we got through game 7. We're going to get routed in game number 1. We'll circle the wagons for game number 2. Or, as I said, ride the momentum and the adrenaline, win game number 1. Then maybe a crash down in game number 2. What's your thought process on the Warriors going from a 7-game series right to Minnesota on how they open up this series?
Well, I think what we just saw from Buddy Hield is the big X factor here because I don't think it's a question. Listen, Minnesota has the experience now, right? They were there a year ago, let's not forget, although they do have a couple of former Knicks on that team, which is going to be interesting. But the reality is the Warriors can still outshoot the Minnesota Timberwolves on any given night, Donnie. They are a better shooting team. What are you going to get from Anthony Edwards? Are you going to get 12 points? You're going to get 32 points. That's the big question there. And they did a great job defensively against in the Rockets in this series. It feels like I'd be looking at more unders than anything else here. But game 1 is all going to be about, can Golden State shoot well enough to make Minnesota uncomfortable and take advantage of maybe a little bit of rust here for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Just look at the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. How'd that work out?
Exactly. No, that's something to certainly look at. And by the way, as we're talking, that 6-point favorite here, Joe, moved to 6.5 now at the FanDuel Sportsbooks. That line is on the way. And by the way, we also say, hey, let's get out of round number 1. There's a lot of mismatches and blowouts. Just looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now for all 4 games that are on the board, Celtics -9. OKC -9.5. Cavaliers -9.5. Timberwolves -6.5. No 2, 3s, and 4s in that, hey, it could be a possession game or 2. We're expecting some really good performances, particularly out of the home teams, which all are favorite and rightfully so. So the approach to your series, do you think that the Warriors can win the series, Joe? And if they do, when's the jump-in point? Is it game number 1? Do you think they can shock the Timberwolves? Is it you want an even better price point if they lose game number 1, figuring that they'll rebound for game number 2? What's the approach if you're taking a dog price in the Warriors?
Yeah, listen, I don't think there's any reason to take anything in game 1. If you think they're going to lose game 1 and then backs against the wall for game 2 and then they go back. I mean, listen, the Warriors as the road team, their goal is to what, Donnie? Get a split. So I don't know that I jump in pre-flop because it's probably not happening game 1, although they'll have an opportunity. But I'd wait until if they lose game 1, then you jump in on the Golden State Warriors at a much better price.
Exactly. 3-1, 4-1 at that point. What would it be? By the way, big game, James. Not hard. We'll talk about that next in the Clippers.
Cosmo was supposed to fight Ciaran Clark, but he had to pull off injury. You get the call. You get to go in there. What was it like for you when you got that call, jumping in there and be part of this bantamweight tournament on short notice?
Terrifying, man. 2 weeks notice against a stud, but I've been preparing my whole life for it, and I couldn't say no to the opportunity, and saw what happened. I came in there and kind of shocked the world. Not kind of, I did.
Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did games. Yeah. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Game sevens, and maybe one of the series before it began, you said, you know what? Which series in the NBA round number one playoffs is going to go 7 games that you can almost guarantee? Most would have said it's got to be the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers. This series, Joe Ranieri opened up as a slight favorite to the Clippers, 115, minus 118, minus 120, depending on where you're shopping, which meant we expected this to be competitive. I was getting angrier and angrier in the series every time the Denver Nuggets would even up the series and go, no. It's still the Clippers series. They're still going to be favorites and continue to be favorites in the Denver Nuggets building. And finally, we built to a crescendo of game number 7 and said, who would win that game? And still the Clippers were getting a ton of respect in that game. I said, it can't be. Denver in elevation in a one-game playoff, essentially, in game number 7, should be favored. It turns out they were at the closing number and also won that basketball game 120-101. But the focus before we get into the game itself, I just want to talk about the Clippers and how we got here. Overtime games, crazy finishes, you get it. But again, you need to rely on your superstars in the biggest moment. Game 7, James Harden, 35 minutes, 8 shot attempts. He did have 13 assists, a minus 29 and only 7 points. The man knows how to lose game number 7's Joe.
Not just game 7, any elimination game. I mean, the last, whether his team had an opportunity to close out a series or if it was a game 7, I mean, his last 13 elimination games, he has shot less than 40% from the field. His teams have gone 2 of 11, and his last 5 elimination games, including the game 6, by the way, in which he kind of showed up out of nowhere, he's averaging 14 points a game. Like, that is not a superstar showing up at the biggest moments for your organization. That is the opposite of superstar is what that is, Donnie.
Yeah, take a look, too. The bench actually showed up. You got double digits out of Bogdanovich. And also, you take a look at Kobe Brown with 13 points. Every player off the bench at least had 1 point here for the Clippers, and it still wasn't enough. And 101 points isn't going to be enough to beat the Nuggets in elevation in their building in game number 7. They shot 48% from the floor, which isn't bad, but only 29% from three-point range and 68% from the free throw line. Not going to get it done. And also, you take a look at Nikola Jokic. These are the things that sometimes I like about the Denver Nuggets and other teams that you talk about where, yeah, the superstars need to step up in big moments, but if they don't, it's nice to know that you're not going to get buried, because if you tell me Jokic, again, his game 7 statistics, 16 points, 10 boards, and 8 assists, like, wow, we needed a 25, 16, and 12 in order to win that game. Didn't happen. Didn't need it. Aaron Gordon, 22 points. Michael Porter Jr., 15 points. Jamal Murray, 16, which, again, we've seen him hit 40-plus points in the series. Christian Brown, 21 points in that game. That's huge at that point. 8 of 15, 3 for 5 for 3, which meant that box score here for the Denver Nuggets, 52% from the floor, 38% from 3, 71% from the free throw line. This is why you play, Joe, the entire season, to get that game in your building.
Len, listen, we know this over the years, nobody has a better home court advantage than the Denver Nuggets do. And it certainly helped them. But that game was so ugly on so many different levels. You can't trust anybody who thought Harden was going to go back-to-back 28 points in Game 6 and 7. I still don't know how he did it in Game 6, to be completely honest with you. But the thing that stuck out to me was Kawhi Leonard had a minus 33 when he was on the court in that Game 7. Kawhi Leonard had minus 33. How many games are you going to win when Kawhi Leonard has a minus 33 next to his plus-minus number? Absolutely not. It was over quickly in that game. And then they all sat around looking at one another, and nobody stepped up, including Harden. Nobody stepped up on them going, all right, let's get this. I promise you, if things had gotten really ugly for Golden State, Steph Curry would have had 95 three-point attempts in that game last night in order to try to save his team. We didn't get that from any of the Clippers in this one.
No, we didn't. Like Kawhi Leonard, like you take 22 points, like, okay, that's all right, but you need him to have more. But look at the rest of the starters. Like Derek Jones Jr., that's fine. He scored 12 points in 17 minutes. I'll take that. Zubac, 10 points, not good enough. Norm Powell, my guy who I love. Like, this is the guy where it's like, all right, we're going to focus on Leonard. We're going to focus on Harden. Norm, you're going to have wide open shots. Make sure you bury them. 0 for 3 from three-point range, 4 of 11 from the field, 9 points. And again, he was a minus 31. So now the questions are going to come up. We have plenty of time to talk about the Denver Nuggets because they're going to advance, and we're going to talk about them in a 7-game series. But the Clippers themselves, what was the issue, Joe, over the years for the Clippers? Man, boy, that talent is there. If they can just stay healthy and get to the playoffs, they might be able to do some damage. And I bought in again this year based on that notion. And again, they were the slight favorites coming into the series. Boy, it would be fun for Kawhi and James Harden just to be out there side by side and no injuries and see what they can do. It's one thing, Joe, to say, all right, they were healthy this year. They won 2 playoff rounds, lost in the Western Conference Final. This team might have a future. You can't buy me or sell anything and say to me, you know what? The Clippers fought hard. It was a tough Game 7 loss. In round number 1, what has to change with the Clippers, if anything, for their future?
It was always about the injuries, not having Kawhi fully healthy or not having Paul George healthy, or only having Paul George and nobody. I mean, the list goes on here. It was always centered around 1 or 2 guys being injured and not available. Well, everybody was available. This is the first time ever where all the main pieces for the Clippers were healthy. There was no excuse in this series whatsoever for them not to have actually advanced. But again, when you got little game James on the team in elimination spots, it doesn't have. But you thought Kawhi or Norm Powell or somebody else would be able to overcome the James Harden-esque numbers that you were going to get. But it never did. They just did not show up for Game 7. But let's be honest, there were a couple of other opportunities they had in this series. They didn't show up either. So, and they don't have any room. What are they going to do? They're stuck with these contracts. So I don't know where else they can go. They don't have any draft picks. So it's not like they can build it up through the draft. I don't know what they're going to do. The team you saw here choke is probably going to be the team next year for the Clippers as well.
Yeah, look at that. Coach's decision in game number 7. Ben Simmons didn't play. He could have been the big difference in that game overall if he brought the heat. But again, the Clipper is going nowhere fast at this point. It'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out. Let's flip it over quickly here for the Denver Nuggets. Not necessarily in round number 2 just yet, but they made major changes in the final weeks of the season. fired the general manager and their head coach, who just a few short years ago won an NBA championship. Are we looking now back at that decision saying, you know what? It was the right one here. Now, granted, they didn't win another NBA championship. They're far from it right now. We'll certainly take a look at their next series and if they can actually hold the water in that series as well. But how do you feel now based on the changes that Denver made? Did it work out in their favor so far for you?
Well, I mean, who saw them coming this way? I mean, they've had some pretty good defensive efforts ever since the firing, and that was really the big knock, right? That they don't play any defense, they don't have any depth, and they don't play. They're not going. They're not playing like they're, like their lives are on the line here. And we saw urgency for the first time in a very long time with Denver. But I still think the depth is going to be an issue moving forward in some of these games. But the effort was there, and if it took firing your GM and coach in order to get that kind of effort, well, guess what? It worked, because now you're advanced.
It did. Gordon, Porter, Jokic, Murray, and Brown there in that starting lineup. I'll tell you what's also interesting, too, is Russell Westbrook has played a lot of minutes lately, and if you were betting him just on the prop numbers, he's been making you a lot of money. You saw that late dunk there, the tech, screaming at the crowd, energized off the bench. He's moving on to the next round here. But again, when we talk about moving on to the next round, like, whoo, man, we beat the Clippers. That was a formidable opponent. They have a really formidable opponent in round number 2, which we'll get to. But the Denver Nuggets, 120-101 over the Clippers at this point. A lot of things are going to change here. But again, you're right about this, Joe. Elevation in Denver, game number 7, they definitely had the advantage, and they used it to their advantage.
And it showed. And it, I don't want to say they were throwing in the towel, but I mean, it was 9 minutes. I think 9 minutes left in the game, and they were up 35, Denver. Yikes.
I'll tell you what else is yikes here. Look at those Denver Nuggets looking to win an NBA championship. You can get a plus 610 price right now in Denver just to win the next series. What? Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Fans hate them. Like, kids go to Giant games and they're like, my father forces me to come, or my grandfather was a season ticket holder. Like, no one has fun. It's a miserable place to go.
The Giants' problem has always been, over the last several years, and it's been the reason why Barkley never really got off, is the offensive line.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Round number 2. Look, no rest for the weary. You win game 7s, you're going to get put back on the court within 48 hours, and you better perform. Why? Because now the Oklahoma City Thunder, the best team in the NBA record-wise, is lining up against the Denver Nuggets. And you might say to yourself, well, that's an exciting series right now, and expectations would be extremely close. I already told you what that spread for game number 1 is, which then is a correlation to the spread for the entire series. If you feel the Denver Nuggets can win this series, you're going to take home a plus 610 price. If you just like the favorite to move on, break out the checkbook, minus 900 for OKC to take on the Denver Nuggets in this series. So again, Joe, I will ask you, from a price point here, anything shocking with those numbers, or are they price appropriate?
Well, I mean, given what we have seen from both of these teams, and when you match up the rosters, I mean, it's hard to ignore the fact that Oklahoma City pretty much does not have a lot of holes on its roster here. They've got depth, they've got shooters, they've got speed, they've got toughness. They have guys that can defend the Joker, where many teams don't. This is an uphill battle for the Denver Nuggets, make no mistake about it. And OKC is a deserved favorite of this number from what we've gotten from them. However, it's the playoffs, and we all know anything can happen. And one of these teams has a ring on their finger, the other team doesn't. And that definitely matters in these games coming up.
Now, if we are looking at the series, like an extended series, which means more than 4 games, hopefully, that gentleman sweep coming in as a favorite here, plus 198. Am I crazy? Because look, Denver is a good team. You playoff basketball, you're going head to head. And it's not as if it's like, hey, Joe, man, what are you going to do? OKC is, rolling again in the playoffs, 3 straight championship. This is what they do. We haven't seen the OKC Thunder advance, and win championships just yet. And every level you level up, it does get a little bit tougher. And also OKC did have an easy time technically with the Memphis Grizzlies, but also there were close games there on the road without Ja Morant. Am I crazy to think that I can get this to a game number 6 and take the 2.5 games with the Denver Nuggets?
Yes. You can, because you got to believe best player on the court is still on the Denver Nuggets. And that, I mean, and not OKC, not taking away from, SGA and anybody else, but the reality is the Joker's the best player on the court. The most experience and success on that court is on the Denver side. So does that mean that they're going to win a couple of games? No, but it also ain't going to be what we just saw. I don't think it's going to be Oklahoma City by 30 every game either, So to me, this is all about, can the Denver Nuggets finally get this OKC team to sweat, Donnie? Can they do it? If you think they can, and you might be worth taking a flyer here with the underdog Denver Nuggets.
Let's stumble into game number 1 here, because that's going to take place here. And look, it's OKC at 9.5, so close to a double-digit spread here for OKC tonight. You take a look at the total, 225.5. Hey, that's nice to see, right? We're used to seeing 215s and 213s out here, 205s. So we're expected scoring. How do you play game number 1? Again, the hardest thing to understand, Joe, is us as handicappers, we take a look at statistics. Hey, look, this adds up, this adds up. But the human element doesn't creep in where it says, like, hey, they're really tired. Like, the algorithm doesn't work into they're really tired at this point. How do you play game number 1? Is it a game that the Nuggets can steal, or is it a game that the Nuggets go, okay, decompression, game number 1, let's see what happens, but game number 2 really will be the focus? How do you look at game number 1?
Yeah, game number 1 is, let's just assume Oklahoma City is going to be up 1-0. And that's really the way you got to. I mean, listen, Denver coming off Denver is a flawed team.
Yeah.
They have to play a game 1 just 2 days after a big, 7-game grueling series there that nobody really thought you'd be making it out of anyway. So to me, with Denver, I wouldn't be shocked if this game gets away from them early. Like, okay, we maybe take the few guys off the court, sit them down, get them rest, because it's still always about just split the first 2 games on the road, right? Just get one and then go back home to Denver. And like we said, it's a much different game in Denver for them and opponents than it is with them on the road. So, yeah, I'll give Jokic the benefit of the doubt that I'm saying they lose this first game, and it may not be pretty, but it's all going to be about game 2 in this series if Denver is going to have a shot.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, too, because you also take a look from Oklahoma City's perspective, right? They understand the task is we're rested, we're ready, we're at home, we're the best team in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets looking at it saying, well, we have a championship pedigree just a few years ago. We won it. We think we have the best player in the world, not you with SGA, and say, you know what? Message time here. Oklahoma City, 128, Denver, 101. Yeah, I don't care if you get tired. We're going to beat the brakes off you because there is something to be said about, we hear about playoffs, just win and move on. If you win by 1 point game number one, that's fantastic. I don't know if that's the case for Oklahoma City. Like, I really do think there's a chance they send a message tonight, but also, again, human psyche for the Nuggets are, let's see what happens here. If it doesn't work out, it's not a big deal. We just had a game number 7. We rebound for game number 2. So if I'm looking at like the first quarter, first half here, if you think Oklahoma City is probably going to cover the 10 points per se in this game, they're probably going to be up 6, 7, or 8 points at the break, good enough to cover this line. It'd be interesting to me if Denver comes out with like a first quarter victory or second quarter victory. And then if, Joe, you're just playing it off as, all right, the legs will get tired in the second half and Oklahoma City will continue to run them here. So a couple different ways you can play it. How would you play the opening of this game tonight?
Yeah, well, the opening is, I think it's going to go one of two ways, right? And I don't know that it's necessarily going to be close. Either we're going to get a very rusty OKC team here that's going to basically shoot themselves in the foot and give Denver an opportunity to go in the break with a lead or at least a cover.
Yeah.
And then figure it out by the second half. Or they're going to boat race Denver in that first half, and then Denver will take its foot off the gas. OKC will, realizing it's a 7-game set, and then anything is possible in the second half. But if you like OKC to run through Denver, then you probably like them early and often in this game.
Heavy favorites in the series, and rightfully so. They're the best team in the NBA, a minus 900 price on the money line for the Thunder to win that series. Again, if you like that dog price, the Nuggets at a plus 610. If you are looking at game number 1 and that 9.5-point spread, this doesn't surprise me. At the FanDuel Sportsbook on their betting statistics, percentage of bets against the spread, 64%. Towards Denver, the underdog. People love the points. They can lose the game and not by double digits. And the books know that as well. We'll continue down the NBA path next, right here on the Early Line.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Fans hate them. Like, kids go to Giant games and they're like, my father forces me to come, or my grandfather was a season ticket holder. Like, no one has fun. It's a miserable place to go.
The Giants' problem has always been, over the last several years, and it's been the reason why Barkley never really got off, is the offensive line.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Take home court advantage. That's the goal of any NBA team, any NHL team, anybody here in a playoff series. You want to win game number one specifically if you're the road team, because then you take command of that series, which is what we saw last night in Cleveland. It wasn't a shocker to most people. The Pacers are a pretty good team. 121-112 final. The Pacers knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers in game number one of the Eastern Conference semifinals. In this game, we saw the Pacers starting lineup 17, 13, 23, 22. A lot of players performing even well off the bench. You saw the first quarter. This is where you need to sting them, Joe Ranieri. 36-25. We're here in the series, and we're ready to go. And they held that lead throughout the game, which included a 7-point margin in the fourth quarter to hold off the Cleveland Cavaliers and Donovan Mitchell. Impressive performance of the Pacers for saying, we're here, and we think we can win this series.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, and one of the things that you worried about, and one of the things you need to worry about Oklahoma City early, is the same things that we just saw with the Cavs yesterday. They looked awful yesterday in that first half. They were not able to hit water if they fell out of a boat. But the one thing we know about the Pacers, and the one thing the Pacers showed us against Milwaukee, is that they'll come out and blitz you. I mean, 9 of 15, 60% from three, 24 of 40, 60% from the field in the first half. I mean, they were scoring and getting anything they wanted. You thought and figured the Cavs would get back into it. They weren't going to shoot that terrible forever. But was rust not an issue there for Cleveland early and often there? So they figured out once they got back up in the second half, and again, no Garland again for this game. But once they got back into it, it never felt, watching that game last night, Donnie, that I ever thought Cleveland was like Indiana was in jeopardy of, oh no, they're going to lose. It just felt like every time Cleveland would get close, the Pacers answered. And look at the shooting numbers. All of these guys, I mean, Halliburton was getting whatever he wanted. They played defense. Cavs could be in trouble in this one.
I'll tell you, because I think the Pacers are one of those teams, Joe, right, that doesn't get a lot of respect during the regular season. 50-32, a 50-win ball club. The Eastern Conference, overshadowed, of course, by the better teams there, the Celtics and the Cavaliers, where they have a pretty complete starting lineup. They have scoring from every position, bigs that can shoot the three-point shot. They got some pretty good play off of the bench. So it's not a surprise to me, but Cleveland's had such a good season where it's like, all right, we didn't need a starter in round number one. Now we might need that starter to come back and be healthy in round number two. And this is where you want to sting your opponent in game number one. You take a look at Donovan Mitchell. Yes, he scored 33 points, was a minus 19 because why? 1 of 11 from three-point range. Got to be better there. 13 of 30 from the floor itself. And also Ty Jerome shooting 20 shots off of the bench here. Where are the other starters stepping up in those biggest moments? They weren't able to get that. But we do have now a 1-0 series lead for the Indiana Pacers. And if we take a look at the series prices right now, you still see the Cavaliers there as a minus 225 favorite. The dog price in the Pacers with a 1-0 series lead at plus 188. You can still get Indiana right now plus a game and a half at a minus 164. So let's start here. Shocking result for you in game number one, and also the numbers now on the series. Anything grab your attention?
Well, no, the shocking thing was the 8.5 points that the market somehow thought giving the Indiana. By the way, Indiana had a ton of success against the Cavs in the season and during the regular season as well. So this should not have come as a fluke. And again, they swept Miami, didn't sweat at all. Milwaukee did a great job of not rolling over in that series against Indiana. So the Pacers look very locked in and ready to go. The Cavs, they're not going to shoot as bad the rest of the series as they did early. They dug themselves a big hole here. But I think it's without a doubt very plausible to think that this could be the 7-game series in round two.
And I'll tell you what's interesting, too, because you look at, and this game was going to take place Tuesday night at 7 o'clock for game number two. The Cavaliers now, as we're talking, up to a double-digit favorite. Yep. They're now minus 10, a minus 480 on the money line, and a total of 229.5. We understand what this game means, and sometimes just that zigzag theory in the NBA, the players know it as well. Man, we blew game number one on our court. It's different mindset where it's like, hey, you know what? The series doesn't start till another team wins on the other opposing home court. We understand that, right? But if it's the Pacers going, we're down 0-2, let's get back home and regather ourselves. The Cavaliers can't go down 0-2. I don't care how good you are. That means the Pacers get a split back on their home court, which they already beat you twice on your home court. That series, for all intents and purposes, is probably done. How are we playing game number two quickly here? Minus 10 with Cleveland. Any pre-thoughts on that?
There is not a 10-point difference between these two teams. The Pacers are not going anywhere, Donnie. We're doubling down because basically the market is saying we don't. But what Indiana did was a fluke. I don't think it was a fluke.
Yeah. Hour number 1, no fluke. Hour number 2, up next is the early line. It's Donnie and Joe on a Monday morning. We will be right back.